Today we're talking Omarosa addresses Trump haters and Nate Parker's rape controversy continues more. All that on Black Hollywood Lives this week.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Live this week.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Black Hollywood Live this week. I am back. It's been forever. Wait, what kind of dance steps for that?
No,
Maddie, you're supposed to come in with more energy than that. Maddie was looking around at us. I just saw Courtney's shoulders. I was like,
I'm the only one. Rachel's like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not gonna do it.
I'm like, wait a minute. I just said, Maddie, we gonna come in dancing. We got energy. Maddie was like,
oh my goodness. I'm doing my little two-step. Everybody else didn't do nothing. I'm like, okay.
Don't let Rachel mess you up now.
Yeah,
don't follow her dance lead now. Rachel, don't let her throw you off the beat, Maddie. Oh,
I'm dancing in my head.
Well, I'm happy to be back. It's been 2 weeks. It's been a minute. I'm happy to be back at Black Hollywood Live this week. As you can tell, we're already having fun. Our special guest today is director and author Matty Rich.
All right.
Thank you for coming in today.
Pleasure to be here.
And of course, joining me is Courtney Stewart.
What's up, everybody?
And Rachel True.
Hi.
Jesse Janney is not here today, but he will be back next week. But Matty is going to fill in just quite great.
I hope so. I can live up to it.
Listen, you got an exciting new book called Bev that you're going to be talking about a little bit later on the show. I'm excited to talk about that. I saw your trailer, little video that you have for it on YouTube, and it was a very, very unique and cool and interesting story.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
Awesome.
But we, of course, have some great topics. We actually started debating some of these topics before we came into the show. Yeah, we did. We were having some discussions about a couple things.
I want to jump in that, but I just want to say for people out there, most people know who Matty is, but if you don't, he's an auteur filmmaker who was like one of that generation in the 90s, late 80s, 90s that was coming up and really brought movies like Straight Outta Brooklyn, right? To the forefront and just, it was a big part of American cinema. So I just want to point that out. So stay tuned. Well, stay tuned because you'll hear more about what he's doing.
I really feel at home.
I told him before I came here, I was like, listen, Inkwell is still one of my favorite movies. When it comes on, I just sit down and watch it.
Man, I'll be back here next week, too.
Listen, you come every day.
Anytime.
But it is important, good point, Rachel, to acknowledge that because a lot of us grew up to your movies and you were a trendsetter and really changed the game.
Awesome.
Filmmaking.
For sure.
So,
all of it.
For sure.
Shout out to you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to some hot topics with Courtney Stewart.
I have some hot topics, and the first one is Derrial has facial hair, guys.
I do. I have my porn stash.
I know he's got the stash,
stash.
guys. 2 weeks gone, and he had to grow some hair, but he looks good, and so does the U.S. Olympic team.
Nice.
Blowing it out of the water. We talked about last week. We were on the gymnasts last week, and this week we talking about the runners because the track stars are just exploding. We're gonna just talk about the women because it's all about black girl magic. Because the black girls are just doing things like just blowing us all away, like in ways that we just can't imagine at this point. So this week it was all about Allyson Felix. She is a Olympic star sprinter, and yes, she had a mishap on Monday. We're not going to talk about Miss Shanae Miller, who threw herself across the finish line in the 400 and took the gold medal from her. But that's fine because she still won silver, and she is now the most decorated female track athlete in the history of the Olympic team. So congratulations, Allyson Felix. You are amazing. In addition, her whole crew that just took the 100-meter hurdles, gold, silver, bronze.
Crushed it.
Yeah, they just did that, y'all. It was Brianna Rollins and Nia Ali and Christy Caslin. First, second, and third place. It was like it wasn't nobody else racing, guys.
I don't have cable anymore, so I kind of missed a lot. And I got rid of it. And I like my life better without it. But I'm so sad I don't have it for the sake of the Olympics.
Me too.
Because this year, with so many black people just taking over, it is black girl magic. And I can't wait till we start playing hockey. You just wait.
It's coming.
We're coming for all your
We're swimming.
Wait.
We're going to play hockey,
We're swimming. We're going to get on the ice. We're going to be on the slopes. Y'all going to be like,
everywhere.
wow.
We're going to take it over.
We're skiing. You won't even know Norwegians.
Well, what's great too about this is that she took the Jackie Joyner.
Kersey had
6 medals, and now she took 7. So, and Jackie even gave her a shout out. She had a quote saying, "If someone is going to break the record, it should be Allyson."
It should be. And Jackie's been like a mentor to her, and Jackie's husband is her coach. Like, they have a great relationship, and it's been all around great. And for those of you guys that are still watching the Olympics, we still got one more. We still crossing our fingers because the 4x100 got disqualified. She was in it because they dropped the baton, but it's because that girl in the other lane hit her elbow. So they finished the race. They finished the race anyway in hopes that they can appeal the agreement so that Friday they can race because they were favored to win because they're amazing and they just win everything. So
I had a question. So when the sister dived to the finish line, is that legal?
Yes,
they're saying because technically it was her chest area, and they're saying it's legal. Yeah, they're saying because they said she was still technically running.
No.
But
she wasn't.
Oh.
But it was legal. It's legal to dive.
I mean, isn't the dive as long as she's kind of on her feet?
It just looks tacky, and you just.
But has that been done before? Have you seen that?
I didn't see any reports that said it had been done before. That it's been unprecedented, but it is not against the rules.
It's not against the rules.
So last week you talked about the Italian gymnast and that controversy, right?
A little bit. We mentioned her.
Right. We're not going to talk about her name, but I just think for anyone who's out there going, well, I don't understand, and black people are doing so well, and they're so much because they're more muscular. No, it's not. It's just that these girls have worked so very hard.
Yeah.
They've worked 5 times, 10 times, 100 times harder than anyone else, and that's why they're there. There's no necessarily genetic advantage other than they work super effing hard, and that's why they're winning the gold.
Same opportunities.
Right, just to get the same opportunities. So that's all we'll say about that from last year.
Congratulations, ladies. You guys are all doing amazing.
Keep up those goals.
And keep up those goals.
Go USA.
All right, more Olympic news. We had some nonsense happen over social media. Ms. Ellen DeGeneres decided to shoot out a tweet. Made some people unhappy. So basically, the tweet was her riding on Usain Bolt's back, saying, quote, "This is how I'm running errands from now on. # Rio 2016. So, it was retweeted like 35,000 times, and a whole lot of people was like, are you out your mind? Basically, you just called him your mule. Like, do you not understand that, like, there's some slave implications in that? And then there were people that were like, are you guys nuts? She was just saying he's super fast. And then Ellen responded with the following quote on Twitter. Quote, "I am highly aware of the racism that exists in our country. It is the furthest thing from who I am."
But listen.
Why did you wait? What were those little eyeballs that you did after that? That was shade.
I looked to the panel to respond.
Can you imagine if Courtney was your sister growing up? Just really, the stuff, the shade you would get. I just was like, oh my God.
I felt the lash hit me in the face.
No, but here's what I'll say. I believe that she's right. She is aware of it. What's happening is that it's on the table for people out there to start addressing ways that they've been talking and been thinking, and there's no problem to it. So they're going to have to be more aware. And some people think it's a hyper awareness, but it's just an awareness that Caucasian people are going to have to start to have. But I personally, when I saw this, I wasn't as offended. I was somewhere in the middle, because I understand it was a joke. She's saying, "Oh my God, I'm on his back," because she puts herself, photoshops herself in lots of pictures.
She does.
So I completely don't think Ellen meant any disrespect other than he's super fast. But I understand that when you put a white lady on a black man,
sure, there is.
Yeah.
And I think we're living in sensitive times right now. Anyway, so just some people may take that photo in a very different way. She's a comedian, and I think she was trying to be funny. And I can see how other people can say, that's a white woman riding on the back of a black man, and they can be insulted by that.
It's a little driving Miss Daisy, right?
But though this is a very sensitive time in this country right now, and because of the election, and everybody is super, super sensitive. So
by Ellen doing it, I was not offended by it. Hate me for being not offended by it. It's a joke. I mean, we can't get mad about every single thing. If Donald Trump was on his back, yes, be offended. If that was a picture of Donald Trump photoshopped on there, Ellen just does that type of stuff anyway. It's just fun. I mean, she would, if it was Brad Pitt running, she would Photoshop herself on his back. So I was not offended by that at all.
Courtney,
Could you please express the shade that you were holding back?
Shade. Here's the deal. I'm not offended because rarely am I like super offended by anything that's nonsense. Do I think it was stupid? Absolutely. I think it was a poor choice. I think her response to it was more offensive by saying, I'm by no means racist. Nobody called you a racist. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, but come on.
No. Let me finish. Let me finish. That's not the point. The point for me would be, you say, if she looked at that, she's getting all this, it irritates me when people are constantly like, if somebody calls you for something that appears to be racist behavior or doing something that was very insensitive racially, the immediate jump is, of course I know about racism and black people and I'm totally fine to have black friends and everything's great. Like, that's how I felt about what she said, that she was jumping to that instead of just being like, you know what, I meant it as a joke. I'm sorry if it was offensive to some people. I can understand why that might be the case, but that is not my intention behind it. The jump to, I'm not a racist and I know about racism, like, it's just, to me, it was taking too much defense instead of taking responsibility for why that would indicate anything. Because if she had tweeted that picture with a different comment, it might have meant something a little bit different. The fact that she said, this is how I'm doing my errands now, like, this is a job, I'm going to use him as my car.
I think people are thinking way too deep about that.
The best thing I saw to match that was that they had, somebody posted a meme that had two pictures one was like during Jim Crow era, one was during slavery. They had a little kid scrubbing on a floor, and then they had another one with like a black woman doing something with a white person sitting right there and another person, and they said basically like, they didn't mean anything by it either, that they were just working for them at the time. Like, that, the point is still that image still communicates something that maybe isn't a great thing to be communicating right now, or you can at least understand why people see what they see in it, and the fact that you don't own up to that, to me, is what the issue is.
Did she apologize for, if it insulted or
No, she said, I'm
you?
highly aware that racism that exists in our country, it is the furthest thing from who I am. She took it as an attack on her person only, and she didn't.
But people were calling her racist.
It's not like that's way about
they were calling her racist.
That's fine, but you never in this moment said, I understand why you might think that this indicates something about me, but that's not who I am.
Listen, if she hadn't done this to herself, put Photoshop pictures of herself and other celebrities over and over again, I would kind of get it, but she does this all the time. It's part of her gag.
It's a black man running with a white chick on her back talking about, ooh, I can run my errands now. Like, come on. Like, it's jokey as it is. Like, it's obviously super insensitive. Like, it just is. And I'm not like, oh God, I'm gonna die, like, because she did that. Like, no. But in the end, like, if you can't at least see why people would see a problem with it.
I can see why. I'm not saying I can't see.
But that's what people are asking for.
I just don't think it's racist, personally.
That's what people are asking for. If she had said, I can see where you're coming from, that was not my intent.
Here's the thing,
that's all it had to be.
Courtney, Black Twitter will call everybody out, even people who don't deserve it. And that's why I think it's like, I can't get behind saying, yeah, that's totally racist. Because there's so many times when we are in a sensitive age. That's great. We need to be a million times more sensitive about things. But literally, we're jumping on anyone and everything who does anything right
and
now.
That's what I feel like.
But that's the point of social media, is everybody being able to have their voice.
Sure.
So we have to take the good with the bad.
Sure.
And in the end, do I think it was racist? No, but I do think it was insensitive to not recognize why somebody sees a problem with it.
Right. I mean,
and I don't think she did that, and that was disappointing.
I can get with that.
I can understand that point.
Bad Ellen.
Bad Ellen.
Ellen, just post, get some white athletes now and just post.
Or just say, I'm gonna ride his back and feel the wind in my hair. Or like, why you gotta be running errands? Like, why he gotta be working for you?
Well, because she's a lesbian and she's not gonna have sex with him.
Wow.
No, but like, I think part of it was like.
That just went to we just turned down
I
a
wonder
different street.
if that would be different.
No, but here's why I think she didn't. It's not the same. It's just like a blonde, like a superstar model who leads with her sexuality on a black man's back. That I would find racist. It's Ellen who's like, I'm Ellen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get the Mandingo connotations in this.
I don't either. I think she just used a wrong choice of words, saying errands. Maybe the word errands is not the smartest move for her.
We all know she doesn't run her own errands anyway.
That's true.
Errands,
That's true.
And
All right. Well, there was more Olympic controvery that I'm sure you guys will jump on me about. Like, it was my fault.
There's not 3 against 1. Maddie was in the middle. Maddie was in the middle.
There's nothing wrong with with it. Watch the video I posted on my Facebook about post-traumatic slave syndrome, and you'll understand why Ellen actually has post-traumatic slave syndrome based on that comment that she made. But anyway, okay, so last week we were talking about the gymnast, and we talked about Gabi, who has been getting all kind of shade because of her hair again. Black people, won't y'all leave this girl alone? So
it's coming from black people.
And she is an athlete. She is doing flips and somersaults.
Well, I'm behind. What happened with her hair?
So in the last Olympics that she competed in and did so well in, there was a lot of talk about her edges, and I didn't even know what edges were until I asked somebody. I learned what edges in the kitchen are. Thank you. But they were really on her for little bits of her hair sticking out, I guess, and she's sweaty, and she's an athlete. So
they jumped on them again. They jumped on her again. She's been getting a lot of.
She didn't hold her hand over her heart for the Pledge of Allegiance, which, by the way, I didn't as a child either.
Me either. So that's why I understood it.
Yeah,
but
me too.
In addition, she apparently she didn't have the best attitude that people would like to see from her. Okay. They assumed a lot of things, and black people specifically kept coming for her and her hair.
But it's so sad that it's black people.
It is very sad, but not surprising at all.
I know, but why? And once again, I say, why are a lot of black women out there are wearing some European's hair or some Asian woman's hair right now, or somebody from India's hair. So the fact that you have the nerve to judge this child with her own real hair is out there winning gold medals.
What were they saying this time?
Is insane.
Yeah, but Courtney, what were they saying this time?
This time, it's the same stuff. Okay. Why is her edges napped up? They were basically saying her kitchen was out of control.
I know what that means now.
All the same horrible ish that they were saying the last time. They were saying the same stuff.
That's horrible.
But
some of y'all out there need to make India and Africa meet. That's what I'm going to say about some of your weaves, okay? Before you start talking, no, really, come on, you know what I'm talking about.
The shade of it all right now.
Y'all call me shady. She said Africa and India need to meet.
I'm just saying, you can make the two meet in between.
Listen, I didn't have nothing to say on that one when she said that.
I'm just like, I'm going to finish telling the rest of my story.
I moved my computer
I ain't got no part of that. But basically, surprisingly, I mean, some people stood up for her. Leslie Jones were standing up for her online, and a surprising star from Love and Hip Hop made a video that sort of went viral on her Snapchat about why she had a problem with it. So I don't know if y'all know, but Cardi B is from Love and Hip Hop New York, and she made a big splash this past season. It was her first season, and she's known to be kind of crazy and off the wall. And she's funny and she's a little out there, but basically she was at the club over the weekend, and she was hearing all this stuff.
I love the setup of this story. She at the club.
She was hearing all this stuff about. She was at the club. I didn't make that up. She was at the club, sweating it out at the bar, and then she was thinking. Boy. She started meditating and thinking about how people were coming for Gabi and her hair. So she decided to make a video about it and put it up on Snapchat. So this is what she said: "Quote, when we sweat our hair out, our kitchens start coming out, right? And it really disgusts me how a lot of you black females and a lot of you Spanish females was coming at them saying their hair was not done. Their hair was done. It was brushed. The problem was that they sweated it out. And this is what happens to our hair when it sweats out." And she showed her hair like she had her weave, except for her India and her Africa were not meeting.
All I'm saying,
They weren't meeting. And she went on to say, if Black lives matter to y'all so much, then black looks, Afro looks should matter to y'all too. Y'all are so used to perming our MFing hair, y'all not letting us love our real effing hair, and this is what it comes with it. This is what comes with our coarse hair. And she showed all of her kitchen and all of her edges and all of her sweated out crazy hair, and she was like, I support, and I ain't even gonna call my hair nappy. I'm gonna call it strong, because when I get in a fight with bitches, they pull my hair, that shit don't come out.
And the mic dropped.
I was like, she dropped the mic. Nobody expected her to have a position on any kind of political situation, but she got a political position on your edges and your kitchen, and we should be celebrating it, not tearing each other down because of it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I'm just specifically for Matty. Matty, okay, so we kind of give you the briefing of what was going on with this story. Do you think that black people just put too much focus on those type of things, like, for example, with Gabi and her hair and the coarseness of her hair and how it looks when she's performing at the Olympics? Do you think that we focus on the wrong things?
I mean, it's her performance. That's why we're there, to witness this athlete do her thing and to perform. And of course, the appearance is part of the performance. If she looks good, it's just because you got some what you say, split-ins or whatever.
Well, I like the term strong hair. We'll call it strong hair now.
Strong hair.
You got strong hair coming out right or left. She's performing. She's an athlete. I mean, what are you supposed to do? So, I mean, they're giving her a little, hard time, but that's what social media is for. That's everybody has a point of view. They have an opinion, but she has to be strong, and I'm sure she's strong, and the people around her are strong to not let that affect her and her self-esteem. And then she has fans and people supporting her. It's not about the looks. It's about what she's doing, how she executes her routine, and you support her. But come on, people. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, let's focus on the fact that she is a super athlete, and how many ethnic people were on the gymnastics team and killing the game and changing history overall, and how many awards as African Americans we won this year. Let's focus on that.
Exactly.
I mean, we focus so much on negative stuff sometimes. I mean, we all do it, me included. I have to check myself a lot of times.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
But no, it's really, I really am trying to change my mindset with a lot of things and focus on other stuff, because those things aren't important, you know? But
I mean, my thing is, what good does it do to the point on the floor? Why don't you point on that positive thing and uplift, so some other young girl or young boy is inspired by her example, Right. And if she has a hair thing, somebody help her, get an endorsement or something, make some money out of this thing.
L'Oreal, where you at? Or not L'Oreal, we'll give them TCB.
Maddie brings up a good point, though. Gabi won gold the last time, right? So where is her hair endorsement that she should have had after those Olympics? Where are her? You know what I'm saying? Black athletes do not get the same monetary compensation that some of the other athletes do. So I'd love to ever see not just a hair ad.
Cream Nature does.
That's straightener. That's straightener.
That's like what black hair products are going to go after her? That would be a major endorsement, because up until this point, I mean, now the natural hair movement is like strong and in full effect, but there aren't that. I mean, other than like Carol's daughter, there are no major ad campaigns for natural hair.
Mixed chicks.
There's lots of things that exist, but there are no major. Do you see commercials for mixed chicks? No,
that's true.
You only see like the L'Oreals, the Revlons,
exactly,
and sometimes the Cream of Nature.
And even when they have their like Pantene had their hair curly for curly hair, and that girl had a curly straight. It was like curly white girl like wig on. Like it's like you really trying to sell that to us? Like that's really gonna work. Like so, I don't know.
But I mean, the point is, and I think Matty said it really well. Like, come on, we're here to watch them compete. And if there's a viral video floating around, if they talk to male athletes the way they talk to female athletes and ask them the same kind of questions, and it's absurd. I mean, the male athletes are like, what? But I'm not even going to entertain that. And it's unfortunate that our women athletes have to endure a lot of those kind of silliness.
Literally being asked stupid stuff. Like Fox News, even though I didn't want to bring them up, like totally had a sit down with two. No, they had two. I forget the two guys. I just watched it, and they were basically saying like, why can't the girls put on a little lipstick? I mean, this is on a international stage. I'm like, if you can run 100 meters in like 2 seconds, I need some lipstick on for. Who are
all that's gonna do is slow me down.
They're like, you're on camera, and then he's like pointing to the reporter, like, look at you. You put on makeup to do the show. That's just sitting in a chair. She is not running 100 yards.
That's true.
It brings up a point that we are living more in public, and there was an old film called We Live in Public about 10 or 15 years ago that kind of foretold that everything would be on camera and it would be storifying and Snapchatting and all that stuff. So it's just going to get worse in terms of appearance, because now I do know, and again, plastic surgery, it's fine if that's for you, but it's becoming the norm now, and that threw me off. I didn't realize that was going to become the norm, and I think it is because we are so much on camera, whether you're an athlete, a performer, a host, or whatever.
Or just got a Snapchat.
Exactly.
They don't care.
Right, but I still feel like there's a lot of us out here who are holding on to like, I'm just going to see where it goes on its own, and I want you guys to hold strong. Although obviously I dye the heck out of my hair.
You have good genetics. Not everybody has good genetics.
You know what?
Right. Like I say, listen, if it starts messing up, I ain't gonna say it. I ain't gonna go see the doctor.
But here's the thing. By the way, it's not just good genetics. Like I don't eat meat. I don't eat dairy. I've had to do a lot of things to fulfill. I had to do a lot of things to fulfill my good genetics. It doesn't just happen on its own.
You have to nurture the garden for sure.
Because I'm your mom's age, Matty.
All right.
No.
Y'all don't know it. She's 97.
She's 97 and a half. It's my birthday.
I tutored Morgan Freeman when he was a few years behind me in grade school. He was a little slow on long division, but I helped him out.
Y'all crazy. Well, I just say let's support each other a little bit more. I'm not mad at her.
Or just be nice. Like, if you think her edges are out of control, just keep that to yourself.
More importantly, if you're going to judge, if you're going to judge someone's edges, and we all know it, but like think about it. Next time you want to put a tweet about how someone looks or this or that, it says so much more about you. It really does. It doesn't say anything about Gabi's edges. It says everything about you and your insecurities. So just know that you're broadcasting all your insecurities to the world.
Right. And they probably don't care. But
right, I know. They're like,
they're like, and Rachel, and them damn curls.
No,
baby, she cute.
No, I'm sweating.
She can say that. Her daddy white.
I'm sweating out my edges right now. This thing just shrunk up like 3 inches because I can't stop sweating on camera.
That's a good one.
That's not fair, you guys. That's not fair.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, y'all crazy. Oh, boy. Thank you. I love sitting by you, Rachel. You know that.
Because I make everyone else look good. Because I'm a fool.
No,
that's fine. I'm happy, though.
You're amazing.
It's all good.
Oh, my God.
What's the next topic, you guys?
Are you done, Courtney? I mean...
we are done in conclusion. We have concluded at Gabi's Edges.
All right.
That's going to be the name of my next band, Gabi's
Edges.
Edges.
I like that. All right, we're going to move on to our EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
I was like, well, where is it?
Someone who does take care of their edges and does not get criticized for this as much, I guess, is Miss Omarosa, who does stay in the news a lot. She is in the news again because there is a new PBS documentary that's coming out called The Choice, and they're going to be following the election, and it airs on 9/27. But people obviously have been giving a lot of slack to Donald Trump with a lot of things that he's been saying, which is crazy, that he has been saying so many crazy things. But this documentary is really focusing on a lot of things, such as a candid look into each of the presidential candidates' upbringings, professional lives, their triumphs and fails. The event features former President Bill Clinton as well, his impeachment, the making of Trump's reality show, The Apprentice, and the saga involving Hillary Clinton's private email server. Well, when they recently sat down with Omarosa, who is currently serving as Trump's campaign director for African American outreach, if you did not know that fact.
I didn't mean to just giggle right there, right out front, out loud and all.
Well, she made a statement supporting Trump. She basically is, in this documentary, is implying that anyone who opposes Trump will have to bow down to him. So that kind of caused
She's not wrong about that. You will if he wins.
This caused a major chain reaction of people, and reporters were like, well, wait, what do you mean by this? So this is her quote. She said, Donald Trump is running for president because he really, truly believes he can turn the country around. More importantly, every critic, every detractor will have to bow down to President Trump.
I'm surprised she wasn't like, Heil Trump.
She also said that Donald Trump's economic She said Donald Trump's economic policies will help impoverished African Americans and don't get tricked into voting Democrat. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, Courtney. Oh,
Don't
Courtney.
look at me.
Or
What do you
Courtney,
have?
my
Go
captain.
ahead.
No, I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, some woman who's on a reality show is first of all, how is she even qualified to be his campaign
and
person?
she's a preacher.
For
Wait,
starters.
I'm like, first of all, what do you do, Omarosa? Like,
Right.
last I heard
She's
you were
got
a
a
minister.
church. Yeah,
Like,
she's a minister.
last I heard she was a minister.
Right.
And then
She's not qualified for this position.
And whoever hired her for that position obviously doesn't even understand what are the needs of that position, because I don't personally, and I can't speak for all the black folks, but I don't know that Omarosa can sell me a political candidate in any way, shape, or
No,
form.
but they kind of backed the wrong black reality show person. You picked Omarosa, who's not even likable. If you were going to go to the lowest common denominator and find someone on a reality show because you thought that would reach, black Americans, you picked someone that black Americans don't actually like that. We don't cotton to her that much.
We don't, but I'll tell you something I did find out, that she does have a huge church following, and that makes a difference.
Church following.
That makes a difference.
So where?
What?
Because the major. I'm pretty familiar.
In LA.
I mean, I'm not like uber familiar with the black church, so to speak, but I got a little information about the black church in this country and like some of the top preachers in these mega churches and that kind of thing where he might be trying to like cater to sort of get votes. And Omarosa ain't on that team, so I don't really know.
Yeah,
maybe they were like, oh, she a preacher? She knows some preachers? Okay, the black folks love their preachers, so we gonna go to like and just assume that she would have those connections, but I don't necessarily believe that those connections actually exist for her. So somebody didn't do their due diligence at all.
What's her official title?
Preacher.
For
her church.
Campaign what?
Oh, the official title for the campaign is she is Trump Campaign Director of African American Outreach.
Oh, so it's like a made-up title.
Well, it's like marketing to the people.
But
Figuring out how to sell Trump to black
how to
folks.
sell Trump to black folks.
I understand that you picked her because she was on The Apprentice, but again, she's not the most warm, lovable, likable.
But
There's a million
loves
other.
him.
Exactly, but she's not
And
someone who
she's
actually
gonna
reaches.
always speak about him. You know what I mean? She's very outspoken, so that's gonna play into. I can see him using her on his team.
Because who else was he going to use?
Well, that's true.
Who
too.
else was he going to hire?
Well, remember those 6 black people that were interviewed by
Larry Wilmore. Nobody cared or no. Like so.
They were Trump supporters. Maybe he would have hired one of them.
I think, but speaking of insensitive, using the term "bow down," in terms of talking to a leader is ridiculous.
Because you're talking about a critic and a detractor. Like it's my job to critique you and have questions about what you're talking about. Like that's my job as a citizen of the United States of America that's about to vote. Like I'm supposed, and I'm not gonna bow down to nobody. But Jesus, I'm gonna need you to like never say that out loud. Like, yeah, will I respect you as my president and follow your rules probably, and maybe move to New Zealand? But like to say bow, like to me that's very disrespectful, and that shows even further that she don't know who she talking to. Because if she trying to get black folks in the church to come follow him, ain't nobody. Black folks in the church ain't bow down.
Don't tell no black woman to bow down.
But I think it's interesting she used "don't get tricked" into voting Democrat. Most African Americans are Democrat. There are a lot of still Republicans holding on to it was the party of Lincoln. That was not the case, the party today. Right. But I think her saying "don't get tricked into voting Democrats" is her way of trying to appeal to those Republicans of yore.
Which it's funny because I will say like that comment is the only thing that I will slightly stand with her on. Because I do think that as a black community, often we're like, vote Democrat, and like don't look at anything else because Democrats are supposed to be in alignment with the minority and to help the other people, and that's not always the case.
Well, no,
and
it's not always the case.
You have to educate yourself on what's going on.
Regardless, no matter what party you choose to do, just educate yourself. Don't go with just popularity.
Even though I think she's crazy as hell.
I agree with what you're saying, but the Republican Party, if they really want African Americans to come into their fold, and they have to make a real strong effort and outreach to really reach out to the community and not just give lip service, but actually give a plan, programs, and things of that sort. And then I think it could be. I think that lumping all African Americans in as Democrats it shouldn't be that way.
We're only doing that. I mean, I only say that in that terms because it's basically a two-party, country. Unfortunately, it should be more, but it's only 2. And I'm gonna. Well,
they did give the Green Party a town hall on CNN yesterday or the day before yesterday, so you get to listen to them. They had some interesting things to say.
One thing I want to add about Omarosa is again, we're talking about people who came up through performing. Like these are pseudo actors. Maybe this started with Reagan, who was also an actor that they propped up and gave some lines, and he spoke really great and he looked like a president. But even hiring her to do this job, she's not qualified for. I'm an actor. No one should ever hire me to do that job. No, really, I'm not qualified for it.
Oh boy.
But Omarosa was an attorney. Apprentice?
She has not attorneyed for a long time. I mean, I'm just
trying to give she has some kind of education in something else.
I'm sure she's a really nice person. I just know my one experience with her is I wandered into some store on Ventura Boulevard, and she was I'm going to Africa tomorrow for a big thing, and then I'm going somewhere here, and then I'm so fabulous, and I know Donald, and I was like, shut up, and it's super self-important. So I hope that since those days, whenever I ran into her, that she's calmed it down and is actually doing this because she truly believes in Donald's. If you believe in whatever he's not saying he's going to do, because he has not articulated anything besides he's going to build a wall and hire a lot of people. If you believe in him, then great. But if you're just doing this to stay in the public eye and on TV, like shame on you, Omarosa, for selling out black people, like trying to convince them to vote for someone who'd imprison us even quicker than the Clintons did in the 90s.
I mean, here's the thing. I just don't really take her too seriously anyway. I mean, and maybe she could be really supporting his policies and wants us to know different things that we have not been exposed to from what he's shown us so far.
Where?
But
Starting on the 27th, because he has a new campaign manager and he has a new COO or something or whatever. He's going to give policy speeches starting on, I think they said August 27th. So look out for those policy speeches. He's going to start with education, and he's going to talk about the legal.
But why wait till the 11th hour?
Well, it's not the 11th hour. Technically, this is like the
9th.
This is the the horse race now. Like it's like the last like 2.5 months leading into the actual election.
Hey, you guys, it just occurred to me like I shouldn't talk smack about people in case we want to have them on the show, huh?
Well, they can come defend themselves. They can come defend themselves.
All right.
Well, check out The Choice, September 27th. I'm definitely going to be watching this on PBS, so I really want to find out what little behind-the-scene things that they're going to reveal on this show about our election this year and our candidates. All right, we're moving on to someone who's also catching a lot of controversy, Nate Parker. We know him well because he's a great actor, for one, and then he also has a huge deal, record-making deal. 17.5 million. After his film that he showed at Sundance, The Birth of a Nation. He's starring in it and directing in it. Well, this week, some controversy went his way when a old rape case came to light. And a lot of people are starting to wonder, which Nate they're getting, which side they should take. Here's a few facts, so bear with me. There's a lot of detail here, so I'm going to read a lot of it so I don't mess anything up. The case was pending from 1999 when Parker was a student and wrestler at Penn State. His roommate, Gene Celestin, who's also a co-writer for Birth of a Nation, were both charged with raping an 18-year-old female in their apartment after a night of heavy drinking. The woman claimed she was unconscious at the time, while Parker and Celestin maintained that the encounter was consensual. She later said that she was stalked and harassed by Parker and Celestin after she reported the incident to the school, and she was afraid for her life. Both men were suspended from the wrestling team, and Parker transferred to a different college in Oklahoma. A jury acquitted Parker of the charges in part because of the testimony that he had consensual sex with her, and that that it was prior to the incident. Prior to the incident, Celestin, who was the roommate, was found guilty of sexual assault and sentenced to 6 months in prison. He appealed the verdict and was granted a new trial in 2005, but the case never made it back to court after the victim decided not to testify again. After the trial, the victim has left college, and she received a settlement from Penn State for $17,000.
That's like $1.
$17,500 to be exact. Unfortunately, in 2012, the victim committed suicide at the age of 30. So now, because of the fact that obviously the movie is getting a lot of play, and the trial is being re-examined because the public attention of Birth of a Nation, which Fox Searchlight, as we mentioned, bought for $17 million last January, is the executives now are a little bit worried because they were supposed to put him on basically a marketing and traveling roadshow campaign, is what they call it, where he travels to churches and college campuses talking about social injustice, and that's one of the heavy conditions for Sundance. So now they're afraid with this controversy coming back to light that people will not want to see this movie, and it'll jeopardize all the investment that they put into the film. And some people are also criticizing him because they feel like he now is kind of trying to give his side to the story and not be sensitive to the victim's family and what has happened to the victim as well.
Well, don't you feel like talking about this now and it coming up in the press is sort of a preemptive strike? It's like, let's talk about this now so it doesn't actually come up in December and ruin shots for awards. I think that's part of what's happening with the releasing of it. But this is a sticky wicket. I mean, I would love to know what the gentlemen think first, actually. What you guys' opinion on this is.
Well, I mean, not knowing all the facts outside of what you read, this is horrible.
Absolutely.
On all sides,
Mm-hmm.
Speaking as a brother, and also as a filmmaker, you put your blood and sweat, your time in working on a project. On the executive side, I don't know how they continue, or what their plan is going to be to promote the movie,
mm-hmm.
to get people to, are they going to have him in the front, or are they going to have him not in the front, and is the movie just going to speak for itself, or the other cast members to step up and promote the movie? There's a lot of unknowns on this, for Hollywood. I mean, there's a lot of money on the table here too.
I mean, this is a huge deal. Yeah.
How do you address this? I don't know. This is like a crisis management kind of a situation. But I mean, there's something that happened. I don't know what happened. But something, you have a movie here. It has to be addressed. Someone has to talk about it. I don't know if he spoke about it or not. Nate.
Yeah, he's
He
made
released
a
a statement or two.
He's made statements. That's what they're saying. Is
Yeah.
his statements have been sort of insensitive.
But
to the
I
family.
disagree with that because I feel like his statement, or at least the one that I read, I wish I had brought it with me, but he did basically speak to the fact that if he was talking to himself as he is now, like 10, 15 years ago, however long it was ago, he would have done things differently. And he can see how this was probably not a great situation to have been in, and he put himself and this person in harm's way unnecessarily, et cetera, et cetera. So he didn't, say I raped the girl and got away with it, but he definitely sort of spoke to that to me in a very, in a slightly more comforting sort of way, to at least not absolve himself completely of responsibility, because he didn't just say, well, I was acquitted and I didn't do anything. Like he
kind of did in an earlier statement. It sounded like, well, I was acquitted and blah, blah. And then he sort of addressed it further. And the thing, I think I mentioned this before on the podcast, like when I was in college, and it's very common, most women I know have been in a situation where either they have been date raped or been pressured or something has come close to that. And I was in a situation with a guy who was probably not a horrible person. This was a guy who looked like a kind of I'm going to say a dumb jock. That's what he looked like. And he had sort of a crush on me freshman year. I didn't pay any attention to him. Got drunk at the first party we had in the dorm. I cannot drink. That is what I learned early on. But I was super drunk. He somehow got me. He told me he was taking me up to my room, took me in his room. And I ended up, and he started, let's just say, putting his hands where he shouldn't have. And I threw up on him, all over him. And that is that's what stopped. I do think it would have been a full-on date rape if I hadn't thrown up in him. Now, when I was in college, it was a long time ago. I didn't even think we called it date rape, but it would have been inappropriate. Now, I've always thought about that guy because he wasn't a horrible, evil, terrible person. But there was someone who was 17 or 18 making these terrible choices, and much like Nate, was in a situation where it could have gotten out of hand. So I'm like, is that someone who should be punished for the rest of their life for something that happened? I don't know. I mean, we're supposed to, in this country, have penalties, and then you have paid your due. And he has certainly tried to make up for it with his, I think, with films and things like that. But at the same time, it does need to be discussed. I'm not someone who went through it, and I think there's a lot of people who did and have been raped who probably have very different opinions of him and whether they'll go see the film or not. So it's a bit of a sticky wicket. But the other thing is, I went to NYU. Like, those kind of threesomes happen all the time. Not in my room, but in other rooms, like constantly.
I mean,
come on, in college.
But that's the thing, and everybody's drinking. Nobody knows.
You're having sex in the bed above while the person is sleeping.
Having sex with the same person.
That's
your roommates in the room.
Not when I went to NYU.
I wasn't in that door.
You didn't live in Weinstein,
I lived in Hayden Hall.
Oh, Hayden was the study one. We were in the party. Rubin or Weinstein. That's where you should have been. But you know that these situations happen, and a lot of people willingly are having threesomes, foursomes at 17 or 18-year-olds. So. We don't know what happened. That's we weren't there.
Well, I do have his statement. I pulled it up just now, and I'm just going to read it. This is one of the things that Nate said. He said, I was sure it would come up. It is there on my Wikipedia page, the Virginia pilot. I stand here, a 36-year-old man, 17 years removed from one of the most painful moments in my life, and I can imagine it. And I can imagine it was painful for everyone. I was cleared of everything, of all the charges. I've done a lot of living and raised a lot of children. I've got 5 daughters and a lovely wife. My mom lives here with me. I brought her here. I've got 4 younger sisters. Women have been such an important part of my life. I try every day to be a better father to my daughters and be a better husband.
I guess I wish you'd address the victim, right?
There is more.
I was going to say because I remember reading something more.
I will not relieve the period of my life every time I go under the microscope, he said. What do I do when you have a certain level of success, when things start to work, things go under the microscope and become bigger and bigger things. I can't control people. I can't control the way people feel. What I can do is be the most honorable man I can be, live my life with the most integrity that I can, stand against injustice everywhere I see it, lead charges against injustice, against people of color, against the LGBT community. That's me. The black community is my community, the LGBT community too, and the female community. That is my community. That's me. That's who I am. That's still not.
Else. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Regardless, it sucks. It sucks for the movie. It sucks for what that movie means for this country because now it's for like I'm sure it'll be okay, but it'll be marred by this permanently.
Right, and among black people, but also among white people, they already think we're that anyway. So that's what's a bummer about that in terms of because he's got this big movie coming out with a black man with the most hype for a director, and white people already kind of think we're out there acting like animals, right? So it sucks when this comes up in this particular situation.
And here's also the thing, and I hate to. Here's also the problem with the story. I have a sister. Never would imagine that this could ever happen to her. Never would want anything like this to happen to her. They've been interviewing the victim's brother, and he's been very vocal about just the insensitive nature of the entire case. The problem is that I also feel like she's not around to defend herself anymore, regardless, or we don't know any more about the story. And then I feel like now media sort of picked a picture of her maybe not being the most stable person. I don't know if that's a result of the way she was before, or if that is a result of what happened to her. And
I don't even feel comfortable discussing that, honestly, because she's not here to defend herself.
She's not here to defend herself, so it's like one of those things.
And in the end, what we have is he was put on trial for it. He was acquitted. Whatever the reasoning being, like he went through the system and that she stood up to him and they came out this way. And what I don't know, like you said, like do we continue to punish somebody that was a stupid 19-year-old drunk dude that did probably something not right, but still legally we determined that it was okay, and we said it was okay. Right. Like we need to address maybe those issues, why legally it was okay, and why there's so much drinking on campuses where people can't make good decisions. But do we continue to punish him, or do?
It's interesting that the roommate, the co-writer, was put in jail, and that's obviously because he did not have sexual relations with that woman before.
That's what they were saying.
That's like the only reason he was, convicted, and Nate wasn't. Whereas they both kind of were obviously involved in this situation.
Well, we'll see what happens with this. But
you know what? I feel like if we can forgive Rob Lowe and the other popular male actor who was in the room whose somehow name never comes up when we talk about what Rob Lowe back in the day, but there was another famous white actor in that room with him. If we can forgive them and let them have careers and jobs, so maybe we should give a brother a chance too
and there's also an aspect that I feel like conspiracy theory is like to build a black man up to tear him back down.
He tore himself down.
Yeah, he did. But
I can't go on that argument because he had a rape trial and his roommate was convicted, and nobody's bringing him down. He brought himself down by some bad choices,
and he knew it was out there. So,
but he's talking about it, dealing with it, and he has started schools for film for people. So I would love to see him do something for, let's say, victims of rape. Donating money.
Maybe that's the route that the executives need to look at. Maybe that's a play.
But then maybe that's also him looking more guilty.
Well, that's true too.
I don't feel.
I wouldn't want to be in his position. I'll put it like that.
No.
Would not want to be in his position.
Aren't you glad you never raped anyone?
No, thank God. No.
That's probably the first time that's ever been asked on this show. All right, we're going to move on from that subject because we only have a few more minutes left, and we definitely want to talk about what's really important today as well is Matty's book. But before, I just want to make one statement because we were supposed to talk about one story about what's happened in Louisiana, which is horrible with the flooding, and there's 40,000 homes that have just been devastated and destroyed. But where I will say this is Airbnb, who we've talked about on the show, who've tackled racism. They've been criticized for some racism situations. They have stepped up and are allowing hosts to give boarding to evacuees for free. So they, as of right now, they have something called the activation tool, or the Airbnb activated disaster tool, which is a response to help the victims and the evacuees. And at least 180 people from New Orleans to Alexandria have benefited from this and are able to have a shelter to live during this time period. So this actually ends on 9/4. So shout out to Airbnb for doing this because there's a lot of victims out there. And it's crazy. And it's not getting a lot of coverage, which I'm really disappointed about as well. But keep supporting those people and helping them in any way you can, because I know I have family there, so I'm definitely trying to do the same.
I got some friends and family that lost houses.
All right, so we're going to talk now about this book.
All right.
Bev. All right, Bev right here. Matty, tell us, like we said before on the show, you have been instrumental in so many iconic movies that a lot of us grew up to. First, tell the story a little bit. I know the story about Bev, but tell the story to the audience about how this book came
Well, it came about 2 years ago. I read this memoir written by Beverly Luther's sister, Meredith Copel, who wrote a memoir about her sister that kind of highlighted her gift to the civil rights movement. She was a 5'4" Caucasian woman who married an African American man. She had 2 biracial kids, but unfortunately she passed in her 40s from cancer. So her sister wrote this memoir so her kids can know who their mom was and know that she was a social worker. She went to Columbia University, and Mickey Schwerner was a friend of hers. And when he was murdered during the Mississippi burning, he was one of the men. It affected Bev, and she wanted to use her gift to help African Americans outside of just watching the horrific images of brutality and things of that sort. So she answered the call, and she flew from New York to the segregated South during the Freedom Summer, and she helped pre-screen all the marches, a majority of the marches, and so I was blown away by the memoir. And I said, I met her sister, and I said, this has to be a book. I'm a filmmaker, so I'm thinking this has to be a movie too. That's just but I wanted to launch as a book, and I went to New York City in hometown. And I met with Karen Hunter at Simon & Schuster, and I told her the point of view of seeing the movement through the eyes of a leader, but a worker leader who was not African American. So you see, we always see the images, these black and white images of all the multicultural groups of people with Dr. King. And I just wanted to know who were these people. Yeah. And so I found one. And so the book kind of details who she is as a person. She's going through a lot of internal issues of wanting to be a wife, a mother. She goes to a therapist. So you see there's layers to this woman. So the book literally reads like a motion picture. And so you see her from the starting in New York, going to the South, and becoming inside of the movement. There's one thing of it when you're watching it on television, but when you're in the trenches with African Americans and you actually see it, you see why they're fighting. You see why these people are mistreated by police, and why aren't they given the right to vote, which is constitutional, part of the Constitution in America. And so she literally used every gift that she had for the movement during that summer, and you see at the end of the summer the progression of the woman. It has changed. It changed her life, and so that's what Bev is. It came out this June, and I've been doing book tours.
Yeah, you have a book signing this Saturday.
A book signing at Leimert Park Book Fair.
Go support, buy the book.
If you're in LA, and then I also have a book signing at Book Soup on Sunday. And so it's a little fun thing, and then I'll be going to Detroit after that, and going back home to New York, and it's going great.
I have a question for you. Is it that she was married to someone black and had black kids that made you interested in this story? Because quite often we see stories through a white person's eyes, right? Of whatever it is, it's through a white person's eyes. So when I was like, then I went, oh, I see. She has more of a connection.
Yeah, that was the connection for me. Is that you had this woman who had biracial kids, and they wanted to know who their mom was. Yeah. They wanted to know, and her sister was bold enough to say, cancer, didn't define your mom, that this is who she was, we're in a time where, it was, some Caucasian people were afraid to stand up. She was one of those who decided that I'm going to stand up. Yeah. And right then and that makes her a hero to me. Yeah, absolutely. We had our African American civil rights leaders, Dr. King and Jesse Jackson, all of the great men and women of the movement. But then you had leaders right behind them, and that's who she was. So. To answer your question, that really kind of grabbed me, the fact that she had 2 biracial kids. And I wanted, you don't even hear those stories much. No. You either hear a white point of view or you hear an African-American point of view.
But thank you for acknowledging there is a point of view. Because I'm a black girl, that's what I lead with, but I'm also mixed or biracial or whatever, and I'm constantly being slapped down on Twitter for acknowledging that. And, that's fine if people don't want to let me have my experience of blackness, which does include being biracial. Yeah. But I'm black. I'm a black girl. Right. So it's a weird place to be because I never want to disrespect anyone or think they think I'm not 100%, down and black. But I also do have an experience growing up with primarily white parents.
Yeah,
so
you have
it
to
kind of
accept
shaped
both
me,
cultures.
obviously.
Because since we have to wrap, where can fans get the book?
You can buy this online, any Barnes and Nobles, Walmart. It's everywhere, digital, and you can also go to your local Walmart or Barnes and Nobles. You can purchase it there.
Is there a website for just this book, per se?
No, actually, you can go to SimonandSchuster.com.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And just click on, Bev, and you'll find it.
When are you directing the movie?
Yeah, I was going to say, the movie, when will the movie out? Right.
I know I'm sitting around.
I know you got the
screenplay, so yeah.
I'm sitting around a whole bunch of actors, so yes, it's coming soon.
Oh, no, we weren't even saying that like we want a part.
I mean, listen, since you put it out there, Matty. Listen, since you put it out there. You see, I can grow a mustache. I'll play any character you need.
I have an afro, like whatever
I'll
you
dye
need.
my hair back as dark color.
Where can fans find you on social media?
You can reach me on Twitter, Matty Rich _ENT on Twitter, and
Which social media are you on more?
Twitter, Facebook.
What's your Instagram?
Matty Rich _ENT.
Okay. Courtney, where can fans find you?
You can find me everywhere at Stuart Starlet.
At Rachel True on Twitter and True Rachel True on Instagram.
You said that's so exciting. I'm
just trying to get it in. I'm trying to get it in.
At Derrial Christon on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live this week. Please pick up Matty's book because it's an amazing read.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the film as well when it comes out. And being casting it, apparently. We don't put that out there. All right, have a great weekend.
Bye.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Derrial Christon, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me @KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
And any pictures, maybe?
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.